What's up, everybody? Once again, this is Bill Mack here with another topic I figured I would drop along to you today. It's just a typical topic. I hadn't done one in a while. I figured I would do one today. Um, I would say my topic of today would be just being yourself. And, I try not to do videos related to each other, but with different things. But today I literally mean that. I was thinking earlier and seeing, watching commercials and stuff. And you know how people kind of, when they're on television, they kind of like overly act when they're on these like celebrity shows and how they get on TV and they kind of overly acting who they are and you wonder, are you thinking, are they really like that when the cameras are not on, or you wonder if they're really like that when everything is they're going into their regular lives and living their lives at home and whatnot. And that was just what I was thinking. I was like, that makes you really wonder, are they being who they really are? And it's like that in the real world today. Whether you're out there just living your everyday life, or whether you're in relationships and whatnot, and if you're being who you truly are. I've learned that that's a very important thing to do, is learning to be who you truly are. Myself, I like making jokes. I try not to be sarcastic. Sometimes I am, not meaning it intentionally. It just sometimes it happens, but it's trying to be in a funny way, not in a bad way or anything like that. But it's like I tend to be that way, and like I said, sometimes I like joking around, not all the time. It's not always about I'm about that, but I've learned in the past that it's always easy to when you can be just who you truly are. Don't try to impress people. Don't try to, and I mean that in a way of that you have to go outside of who you truly are to do it. I mean, you've got to be yourself in front of people just like you are at home. If you're two different people when you're out there in society and out there in the world today, then you are being a different person when you're at home and living a home life. That's a problem, you see. At least in my eyes, I've learned that if you're joking, it's cool. It's funny. If you're talking to someone, such as a friend, or you're talking to a girl, it's okay to joke, but don't present yourself if that's not who you truly are. Not saying that you're being deceitful. It's just that you're going a little bit. You're taking yourself and maybe going 5 to 10 notches higher up than who you truly are. So you're kind of not. You're getting away from it. That's where you have to be careful about, and that's just, to me, something that's very important. I mean, I've learned in my past relationship, because it's been a while, and just for my own reasons, I haven't really dated. But my last relationship, when we were initially talking, her and I were talking, I was doing stupid stuff, and it wasn't that I was trying to be more than what I was. It was just at those points I felt like that. So whenever doing outlandish things, doing crazy things, and all, that was what I was doing, and it was just being silly at the time, not trying that to be my representation of who I truly was. Like I said, I can joke and everything, and just enjoy everything, but to me, it's just something I basically just enjoy doing and being funny. But then you get some people that when it comes time that you're in front of them, you're expecting that same person, but you're really not being that person in general and outlandish. Let's say you go to a grocery. Let's say you go to stores with the person, and you're throwing everything around and trying to set everything off in the store and everything, and being loud and stuff. And if that's not who you truly are in general, don't portray yourself that in the beginning, because when that person gets to knowing you, then it's kind of it goes from you just being a little bit more than what you truly are, to actually you feel like you're maybe going to be getting tired of basically doing that stuff. It's kind of like, I tried to make sure that I don't get too high up, and that was what I learned in my last relationship. Was I was just too loud. I was joking, but I was kind of like well above where I should be, and I wasn't realizing it. So like when we got together and sometimes down the road, it was like I wasn't. I felt like at a point I was trying to be this, and I didn't really feel like it, or I didn't want to be this way. And my ex was like, "Well, you used to do this and you used to do that," and I was like, "Yeah, but it wasn't that I was trying to be that way all the time. It was just certain points struck me, and some points it was silliness." And but true as well, it could have been maybe how I was feeling in a relationship at the time. Maybe I just was so worn out with the relationship that I just didn't feel like doing it anymore. Of course, that's not, it could be the one of those things. But for me, it's just trying to give advice and just being who you are and staying at the level that you are. You don't want to be seen as someone who used to do things that don't do things anymore. And I realize sometimes in relationships that's new that you're going to try to impress the person. Just be who you are. If that person isn't impressed by the person that you are and who you are to them, then that person isn't going to then that's not the right person for you, because you've got to be who you truly are. That's because you don't want the people that do that. I say, and I used to say, used to wear masks, and they have one mask on when you're dating them in the initial part, and then finally when they get comfortable enough, they just drop all the act and that's they take the mask off and they're who they truly are, and you're like, well, you didn't used to do that. You used to do that. Well, that's not who they were. But me, I try to not outdo myself and be this silly person if that's not who I am. And I suggest nobody do that. Just be who you are. It's cool to be fun and joke, and if that's what you're doing at that point because you want to do it, cool. But don't try to do it to impress someone, because when you make that a part of what you're trying to do, when you're trying to get close or get to know them, and then the person will get in their mind, hey, that's what it's all about. And you don't really want that to be what it's all about. You want it to be something that you really want to take that person in. You want that person to like you, but you've got to want to be the person that you naturally are. And that's the thing about it, is being who you are and not something that you're not, because me, I have learned since then. And like I said, my last relationship was a learning experience, through things, and it picked me up, and I've learned things through it. And just over in time since I last dated, it got me to really realize, and that said, hey, it's okay if you go into a store and put on a little Halloween mask and take pictures and stuff or whatever, or sometimes whatever if you're joking in a store, but don't be someone that you're not. Don't be something just to try to impress that person. Like I said, people are going to want to be with who you really are, because it's like saying lying. When you lie, if you not honest up front, sometimes lies they will end up catching up with you in the end, and it'll portray something that you initially put out there that wasn't necessarily the case. So then it could have all been avoided if you just would have been upfront and honest, much like it is with just being the person that you are. And like I said, if people don't like who you are, then that's on them. Like I said, it's like true with being friends with people. If you can't make friends, and it's tough sometimes in today's society because you got to be careful. We know who you become friends with, but it's like when you're out there and you're trying to make friends, it's good to be who you are and not try to pose to be someone you're not. Because if you're wanting to fit in because that's who you are. Fit in because that group of people or that person is someone that shares the same interests as you do, the same beliefs you do, the same whatever the tying in is. Make sure that person shares the same with you, but don't go out of your way and go over the top with it and trying to become that, because that's just not who you are. Because we all learn and understand and know that in the end it's going to boil down to who you are truly at the end of the day. So I just want each of you to know that it's important to be who you are. If you want to get in a relationship with somebody, then start out by being who you are. If you're a funny person, it's cool. If you're a reserved person, it's cool. But be who you are, not impressing someone. But if you impress them, Impress them by your intelligence. Impress them by your reservedness. Impress them by your sense of humor if you have it. But don't try to be a comedian and be a Jerry Seinfeld if you're truly not. Don't try to be this outgoing person if you're truly not, because when you're playing that role, after a while, that role can be tiresome if that's not what you're doing. I mean, whenever an actor, I imagine, these celebrities and stuff today, they do these they play these roles in movies, and that's just a role for them, because whenever they leave that set, whenever they're on personal lives, they're not doing that. I mean, it's just important to, these people that make they do impressions of people. That's not their true. That's what they do for a living. That's what they do for their job. But once they leave, they're not making that same impression. They're not doing it. They're just being who they are. So you've got to be who you are in life. And when it comes, like I said, to making friends, if people have things in common, it's great. But don't try to be something you are. Like if that person does this or that person does that and you don't, then don't say, well, I've got to do this or I've got to do that so I can fit in with that person, or so that that person will like me. But no, you don't. You don't have to do anything for anyone to like you or not. Like I said, you can be friends with people that may not agree with everything you believe in. Whether it's political, whether it's religion, whether it's what you feel. Sometimes not all your friends are always going to have that same agreement with you, but for the most part, is that you are who you are, they who they are, and if you can be friends, and that's the case, and you're not trying to uh, um, put convince yourself to be more to their sorts, then you're basically losing your identity, and that's the important thing, is knowing who you are and staying who you are and staying true, because that's what really counts in today's life, is for your happiness. Because if nobody else is going to change for you, you shouldn't have to change yourself for nobody else. So I hope that someone understand today, and I hope each one of you listening today understands where I'm coming from, because it took me a long, hard lesson to really understand that, because I was to the point where I was doing things early on, like I said before, that I didn't really care for doing. It was like I'll come home or we'd go into a store and like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I'm like, we're just shopping, and I wasn't in the mood to. And like I said, it could have been for a number of reasons, but one of them can't be just because you were just trying to be something you weren't. Just, you were trying to be 10 times the volume of who you truly are as a person, but you just continue being what you're being. So, I just hope each and every one of you knows that, and know that you just got to be true to yourself. And that way, if people care for you, they're going to care for that person they're talking to, that they see. And if they want to be interesting, then they'll want to be interested in that person they're talking to, not someone who is 10 notches up than who they are. All they want you to be is who you are, and that's what you should be, being who you are. Because in the end, that's what that person's going to fall for, what that person's going to invest in. And whenever you decide that you're not going to do that, or you're deciding that if you've been this person high notch and you want to do it, there's going to be a big letdown and a big disappointment in the fact that you once did these things. This person sees this, now they don't see it. So then they feel like there's problems in a relationship, or some situation, when really, to begin with, it's like, no, it wasn't nothing wrong in a relationship. I just don't care, don't feel like doing that. Then you're like, well, then really wasn't an act? Was I just being overly aggressive in showing off my personality and being over the top in who I was than who I truly am? Not that you're lying, but just the fact that you're basically, trying to impress them, trying to be over that. And like I said, that's not what you need to be. You need to stay true to who you are, and stay grounded in who you are. And you don't have to impress anyone. Just be who you are. And if people really like you, they're going to like you for who you truly are, and they will accept you for who you truly are. And that's true friendship. That's true relationship right there, is when that can happen. So I just hope each and every one of you hopefully get something out of that. So I hope each one of you enjoyed the video. I want you to subscribe to my channel if you hadn't. I want you to like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it if you can. Until next time, this is Bill Mack. Seeing you later.